Well, hello and welcome to Bingewatch, the podcast where we take a look at the hottest new TV and film releases on streaming television platforms. I'm Hannah Fernando, the group editor of Woman and Woman and Home magazine.
And I'm Ian McEwen, writer on TV Times, TV and Satellite Week, and What's on TV magazines. And today we're looking at the new releases for the week starting Friday the 8th of September 2023, including the twisty Paramount Plus stalker thriller, The Killing Kind, and ITVX true crime drama Love and Death about a churchgoer accused of murder.
And we'll also be checking out the final series of London crime drama Top Boy on Netflix and dark modern fairy tale The Changeling on Apple TV+. But first, Ian, what is in the news?
The 5-part Disney Plus thriller Playdate will follow a mother who sends her daughter on a sleepover only for the child to be abducted. What else is in the news, Hannah?
Well, first-time dad Jack Whitehall, those pictures of his baby are so sweet, will team up with his father Michael for new Netflix travelogue Fatherhood with My Father to explore the highs and lows of parenthood. I look forward to that.
Yes, they're milking it dry, aren't they?
They really are.
Father and son travelogue. Lovely. Well, we're going to start off on ITVX with a new drama series called Love and Death. It arrived on Thursday the 7th of September, and here is a clip.
You always want more. You do, Candy. Whatever you have, you always want more.
Yes, I do. And I'm not going to apologize for it. It is human nature to go for something with a little thrill at the risk of falling.
Oh! Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Are you sure?
Would you be interested in having an affair?
Yes, always makes me think of the Woody Allen film of the same name, but it's nothing to do with that. This is a true crime drama set in the 1970s, and it's about a Texas housewife called Candy who had an affair with Alan Gore, who she knew from church. I'm not going to say any more because if you don't know about the true story and how it all panned out, it will come as a surprise to you, which is what we all want, really, isn't it? So this comes with a good pedigree because it's written by the brilliant David E. Kelly, famous for Big Little Lies, for one, many other shows. It's a 7-parter. Playing Candy, it's Elizabeth Olsen of WandaVision and sort of the Avengers fame, and the excellent Jesse Plemons, who's been in lots of things since Breaking Bad. He plays Alan, so it's really good. So it starts off, it's actually done in quite a sort of humorous way, I think, because it's a little bit Stepford Wivesy at the beginning, and Candy is going to church, hanging out with the other mums, but she's dissatisfied with her life. She kind of looks at her other half and thinks he's a bit boring, and it's a bit like a teenage crush, really. It's rather sort of naive and innocent in a way. She has a big crush on Alan, and there's this moment they're playing volleyball together in the church team, and there's this sort of physical attraction. There's suddenly this moment that they share, and so she propositions him, basically, and it's rather weird the way it pans out, and it must be based on what actually happened, because they hoo and haw about whether or not they should have this affair, and then they draw up a big contract about the deal breakers of the affair. They're both great in the role. What is quite strange, I guess, about it is that if you know what happens at the end, it's slightly odd that it's this rather tongue-in-cheek, kind of light-hearted tone, but it's really well done. I mean, it's really worth a look, and I very much enjoyed it, and looking forward to the shocking denouement that awaits. What about you, Hannah?
Yeah, I thought it was really good, like you. I think that crime is clearly such a big genre, and it's always trying to find a new way of doing it, and this kind of does that because, like you say, it's based on a real story. But it's that, I don't know, it's just got different, it's got more depth, I think, than I imagined when I first saw it. It is done incredibly well. I know what you mean about the kind of, there are times where it seems a bit sort of not slapstick, but kind of, I don't know, not as deep as it could be, or they're laughing at things that you wouldn't necessarily laugh at. I know what you mean, but I don't think that detracts from how good it is.
Also arriving on Thursday the 7th. On Paramount Plus, it's another new drama series called The Killing Kind. And here's a clip.
Ingrid Lewis speaking.
Ingrid, it's John. Please just listen to me. This is really important.
You should not be calling me.
I'm worried you might be in danger.
There is a former client of mine. His name is John Webster. He was stalking me.
Don't engage with him, Ingrid.
I felt like I'm being followed again.
Yes, so I like this very much. This is on Paramount Plus, and as you said, and it's about a lawyer, and essentially she's at the heart of it, and she's a rising star. She's a defence barrister, and she's called Ingrid Lewis, and she's slowly getting her life back on track because she had met a man. She was in a long-term relationship with arguably someone who was far more appropriate, shall we say, as a partner. And she met him because she was representing him, this other person, and that person turned it. I suppose she broke that idea that you do not spend time or become close to the people that you work with, or certainly in that sort of client kind of fashion that a lawyer would be. And he turns into a stalker and an absolute nightmare, and she manages to escape him, but it's clearly affected her absolutely hugely. And I think Ingrid didn't really know what to believe. I think when you're in the heart of something like that happening, and when that's going on around you and people are saying, oh, this is happening, that's happening, you're just, love is blind. That's what they say, isn't it? And she kind of defended this guy, John, for a while. But he goes away, he's out of her life, she's building her life up again, everything's going really, really well, and he turns up again. But he's like this Achilles heel. She can't get him out of his life. She wants to believe him because he says he's there, she's in danger, and that he's there to protect her. And then there's a sort of series of events which make her think perhaps she is in danger. But really, he's really creepy. It's really quite scary. It really quite plays. So it's not a thriller per se. It's not jumpy. I don't think it's more just how somebody can manipulate your mind. And I think with something like this, you'd imagine someone like Ingrid to be. She's a defence lawyer, I think. Defence barrister even. And the idea that such a strong woman could sort of be taken for a ride in the way that she is, or be manipulated, I suppose, is interesting in itself. And she just doesn't know where to turn to, because she knows that it's wrong. She knows she's got away from this guy, but now he's back. And is he really there to protect her? Does she want to believe this person is completely obsessed with her? So I found the whole dynamic really, really interesting. And the unraveling of a clearly very bright person's mind interesting too, because it just shows that every single person has their Achilles heel, has their weak spot, and he is hers. And I must say I did find it's quite dark in places. It's quite frightening and quite creepy, because it's all about the mind and how somebody can sort of make you believe something that perhaps isn't real. So I thought it was really good. What did you think, Im?
I agree. I really liked it. It's the sort of thing you wouldn't be surprised to see on the Beeb. So yeah, you've got Emma Appleton is very good as Ingrid, and Colin Morgan plays John Webster. It's cleverly done, because obviously he stalked her in the past and she's just completely blocked him and chopped him out of her life. But he gets back in touch saying, oh, your life is in danger, I'm trying to help you. And it's like, can we believe him? Can she believe him? And you don't know if it's paranoia, but she's had the feeling that she's being followed by someone. Is it him? Is it someone else? And then, I'm not going to spoil it, but something quite dramatic happens that shifts her towards thinking, actually, maybe he is telling the truth and he's a bit of a reformed character and he's just trying to help me. But we also think, no, he's trying to inveigle his way back in. So it's really well played, because you're just not sure. And that's the whole point. Is he telling the truth, or is he just up to his old tricks? So, yeah, I really liked it. Morgan is great. I remember him years ago playing Merlin in that fantasy series. But, yeah, they're both great in this. And we get flashbacks to see how they met and how they sort of were attracted to each other, even though it was inappropriate, because he was on trial actually for coercive control. So he had some alleged history of that. And we see how she was engaged to a corporate lawyer. So, and various other things happen. So it's really well done. It's gripping, great performances, recommended. Over on Netflix, also arriving on Thursday the 7th, we're going to say goodbye to the brilliant crime drama Top Boy. And here's a clip.
If I found you don't make no money.
Sounds familiar.
One day that brother's gonna get what's coming to him. Ain't no going back from this one.
So this is the third season. We got 6 episodes. Yeah, you do need to go back and watch the previous series to get up to speed. But those who have been following it will know that it's all about a couple of lads from Hackney. There's Sully, played by Kane Robinson, and Dushan, played by Ashley Walters, who are drug dealers. And the story of the series has really been the battle to be top boy, if you like, to be in charge of that criminal activity in East London. And it's gone off to Jamaica for one kind of storyline. It's been compared to The Wire, unsurprisingly. It's a very, very good show. Walters and Robinson, superb performances from them. When we last saw them, a former rival called Jamie had been shot, and as we rejoin, well, there's an exciting new addition to the cast. Barry Keoghan, who of course won an Oscar for The Banshees of Inisherin. Great actor. So he joins as a member of an Irish gang who start to basically muscle in on Sully's business with some fairly shocking tactics. You're also going to get a bit of a sort of bit more backstory for a sort of fan favourite character, Jack, who is a dealer, kind of uncompromising. She's played by Jasmine Jobson, but we also see that there's a bit of tragedy in her own life, and there's going to be a lot of tension between the two main characters, and you can imagine that it's all going to come down to a big showdown. So yeah, this has been a great homegrown crime drama that really is up there with the best of them. And I think it started off on terrestrial and then it got picked up by the streamer. If you've not watched it, it is well worth a look, because I think it's been quite influential, and I think it will be seen in retrospect of one of the great crime dramas of its era. I don't know if you've followed Top Boy, Hannah. What do you think of it?
I haven't followed it, but I do like it. I like this kind of gritty drama, actually, and I quite like the sort of. This sort of world is, I suppose, a bit foreign to me. I always find it quite interesting, and I wouldn't know whether it wasn't very realistic or not, to be honest with you. I feel very green saying that. But it kind of, I don't know, it sort of, it captivates you completely, doesn't it? I feel like you're completely, I don't know, you can't look away. You're really part of it. You really want to know what's happening all the way through. I think it really engages you, is what I'm trying to say. And as I say, I think that sort of gritty, that gritty drama really, really appeals to me. And I think the acting for me is really good in this. I think it's that sort of, it's very male dominated, with the kind of, who's going to break first, who's the toughest boy, who's the top boy. And I feel like I'm much more hooked, but I hadn't followed it before.
I'm starting to realise that the theme of this week's pod is troubling or troubled relationships, and we're going to end with perhaps the most unusual of our choices this week. On Apple TV Plus, arriving on Friday the 8th of September, it's a new horror fantasy series called The Changeling, and here's a clip.
Would you even know
There's no sun up in the sky.
if you crossed into a fairy tale?
Stormy weather.
A storm is coming.
There are portals in this world that we may never know we've trespassed through.
Yes, it is quite unusual, isn't it? But in true Apple TV Plus style, there is plenty of money thrown at this, and I think really well done. Now, anyone who listens to this a lot will know that I don't particularly love the whole kind of fantasy sci-fi genre particularly. But this really interested me because, and we've spoken about this before, about how you set sort of fantasy against or alongside reality. And that for me makes it all the more engaging. So you're really invested in a relationship at the very beginning, in normal, real life. Boy pursues girl, girl's not interested, she's going on holiday, they end up getting together. But something that happened on that trip of hers changes their world forever. And they stay together and they get married and they have a child. But reality bit, so you're quite invested in this relationship anyway, and so you're already there, and then you move into this magical fantasy world where essentially fall into a fairy tale, except it's not really a fairy tale because, well, actually, the more I think about fairy tales, the more horrible they are. Actually, they're quite horrific in places, and I guess this is exactly what this is. So this series is based on the book, and it's trying to find their son is abducted and his wife is missing, and he has to go into a fantasy world to kind of try and find them, and it's where the worlds collide. But I think they do it really, really well, and it's quite did make me jump in places. This is again sort of playing with people's minds, but it doesn't feel completely ridiculous. And that's what I sometimes struggle with the sci-fi and the fantasy stuff, is that I find it a bit like, oh, so not credible. Well, this isn't credible, but because you're already invested in that relationship, because you're already invested in the real world, you kind of get taken on that journey. So I actually thought it was really good. And as I say, again, Apple TV Plus productions are very, very good, aren't they? And it's no expense spared, I'd say. What did you think, Ian?
I liked episode 1. It's intriguing. And yes, it's based on a book by Victor Laval, which I haven't read, and he narrates the series actually. So, and it sort of sounds like a fable the way it's narrated, the fact that it has a narrator, and as you say, it treads that fine line between quite a naturalistic element. It starts with there's Apollo and Emma are really the main characters. He's an antiquarian book dealer, but we start with the story of how his parents met, and there are similarities because in each case the man pursued the woman and the woman eventually said, yeah, okay, we'll go on a date. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we see, and he's quite odd because he's called Apollo, and from time to time he shouts out, I am the god Apollo. but the actor Lakeith Stanfield, who plays him, does a great job, and it's Clark Bacco playing Emma. So at the heart of it, there's that kind of fairy tale staple of, if you had 3 wishes, what would you wish for? And often, of course, in these fairy tales, the wishes kind of come back to bite you, don't they? So I won't say any more about that, but that is part of the plot. But also, they have a baby, and there's some childhood trauma, especially from both of their backstories that we see. And then there's what looks like kind of postpartum depression, and Emma kind of almost rejecting her baby and becoming really, personality change, becoming very depressed. And then, something quite dramatic happens, which I won't reveal. But it's an intriguing mix of, quite realistic sort of drama about getting together and becoming parents and the problems of that, and this fantasy element as well, which starts when Emma goes off on a work trip to Brazil. I really liked episode 1. I just wonder where's it going, and is it going to be able to convincingly sustain this mix? But I very much hope so. Yeah. And it's a good start. Now we've got to that time, Hannah, where we find out what you've been binge watching this week.
Well, what have I been binge watching? we waited because we're clearly so tight. We didn't actually go to the cinema to watch The Little Mermaid. No, it's not because we didn't want to pay. It was just because we didn't have time. And it finally came out on Disney yesterday. So we watched it, and I really didn't like it. I love Disney stuff, and I've never, rarely, but let's not say never, rarely turn something off in the middle, and I did. And even the children said, "This is terrible." Yeah, really interesting. And then I am just literally finishing up The Crown, ready for the next series.
Lovely stuff. Well, we've been gripped by the climax of MasterChef, of course. Very much enjoying that. And thoroughly enjoying the hen party comedy Henpocalypse on the iPlayer, which is worth a look if you've not seen it. Now, we've just got time to look forward to next week's offering. So what is on the binge watch menu, Hannah?
Well, Hollywood stars Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds talk about their promotion chasing second season as owners of Wrexham Football Club.
And Ben Hardy and Hayley Lou Richardson play passengers who fall in love on a transatlantic plane journey. You're getting this one. In the Netflix drama Love at First Sight. So, or should it be Love at First Flight?
I like
They missed
it.
a trick
Why
there.
didn't they employ you?
Anyway, we'll discuss that next week. But in the meantime, keep watching.